Gunfire in the heart of Istanbul after a Turkish army group says it has seized power.
Traffic has been stopped from crossing bridges in Istanbul. There are reports of gunshots and at least one loud explosion in Ankara. If this seems like chaos, some say it's anything but. Observers describing it as a well-orchestrated coup by a large group, not a few on the sidelines. Events could hardly be moving any quicker. Simon Clemerson, BBC News.
Let's speak to Professor Gulnur Aybet, the head of the International Relations Department at Bahçeşehir University in Istanbul. She joins us live now. Professor, thank you very much for joining us. What do you know about the situation with the state broadcaster TRT? Can you bring us up to date?
Well, I know that they were taken over by the coup attempters at some point where actually read their statement, but then all the TRT channels were black for a while, so obviously they'd lost control, but nobody had taken them back yet, and now we see that they're back on air again. But actually I was on a TV station just before this happened on the other side, on the European side, and the car taking me home, we were crossing the bridge, and it's the bridge where the actual attempt started with this attempted coup, and we saw the soldiers, and I can tell you they were not a very large group. There were no tanks on the bridge, and there were probably 2 or 3 armored personnel carriers. There were a lot of young soldiers, very excited, with rifles in their hands. But they had only closed one lane of the bridge, and we were able to go through. A lot of the roads were blocked, and I think, you know, there was a lot of uncertainty in the initial stages, but within the past hour, it's actually become very, very clear that this coup attempt has more or less failed, and that there hasn't been any support from it, actually wide condemnation, not just from the government and by the president, but also from opposition leaders and lots of senior army officers. I mean, so at the moment, it's by no means entirely over, but we can say that it's largely been unsuccessful.
What are you hearing from, say, your colleagues or people that you're no doubt in touch with about the security situation now? Is it safe to even go outside? Well,
I mean, I know some of my friends are outside, and wherever they are, I know that they're safe. I know that people who initially stormed the airport probably might not have been safe in the initial stages, but I know that the airport is reasonably safe now because the tanks have rolled back. The bridge I'm not so sure about because we're still seeing footage of the soldiers on the bridge. As I said, it's not a very large armed group, but they're actually still aiming their weapons at anyone who tries to breach that roadblock they've erected there, and they looked pretty determined when I went past them in my car.